Hi, I'm Leanne Harris, CEO for Keller Williams Portland Central, and today I'm getting to know your realtor. We have Murooj. Murooj, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Leanne.
Yeah, my pleasure. We get to do this times two because Murooj moved into a new house this year, and the last time that we talked, we had such an echo in the background because she's waiting for her furniture. And what I love about that story is that, man, you went through it yourself this year, just like your clients go through it. So if we're buying houses often, we remember the pain that can happen during purchasing, right? So
Yes, yes.
tell us your story in real estate.
Honestly, it's coming from my experience. I came to the United States in 2013 as an immigrant, and the immigrant people, meaningful to them to own the house. So I'm gonna start searching how can I own my house here. So I went to the Montrose College to get my certificate on my license. Um, I knew many people in my community. So I just advertised, hey, I'm a real estate agent. You cannot imagine how many people text me or call me, okay, you can help me, I need to own a house. So this is how I'm start.
Yeah, I love that. I know that I would see flyers that would go out and they'd be in Arabic, right?
It is, yeah, in
Yeah,
Arabic.
it's awesome. So I'd see
Helpful.
the flyers going out and I'm like, wait, who's she advertising to? This is so cool. So I love that
It is.
part of it. Well, what I like to talk about on the podcast for people that are listening in that might be thinking about buying a house, but also thinking about getting into real estate either way. But what are the highs and lows of real estate? You know, what?
Um, First one is the communication and build relationship with your clients. Honestly, I can say 90% of my client being my best friend. I'm being like a family, um, good relationship with them, communication. Um, I mean, you have relationship with your client. Even you cannot just send them email and say, oh, this is the house for sale. No, you can call them, ask them for, you know.
Well, let me ask you a question on that because this comes up a lot actually, and people talk about this as sometimes a hindrance with clients is that people will want to buy real estate, but they're nervous that their real estate agent is going to know too much about them. And so they get scared to do business with anybody that they like too much. And how do you combat that?
Especially with your friends,
Yes.
because they just so concerned if we're gonna share, but confidential information, you're gonna keep it. Don't just talk about their people who gonna buy a house, what they have. This is so important. So I have a friend, she said, oh, I'm so surprised, I bought a home and nobody know because you're my friend. I told him, yes, I'm your friend, but still your agent. Your information is so, insecure.
Right.
Nobody can know about it. Yeah.
Well, I think the other thing is that you don't judge. So while we go through the home buying process, sometimes there's personal information. Not only does it needs to be kept confidential, but there's the other part of it where it just feels like sometimes I think we're nervous because we're afraid we're going to be judged by a quote unquote friend. And what I love about you is that you do keep it very business-like and very personal and personal at the same time so that you can take care of that person's
Yeah.
greatest investment. So I love that part of it. What do you think is the hardest thing of doing real estate? What's the low?
24/7. You need to work. Keep, response messages, showing a far miles you can drive, but you, I enjoy it. I think getting tired from it because I enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of think about real estate agents sometimes as like OBGYNs. You're going to deliver a baby in the middle of the night, you know? And people need the keys to their house. And you're like, I'm kind of like a doctor. I got to show up no matter what. So I get that. I get that. You never know when that baby is going to be ready. So you got to be ready for your clients. Well, very cool. So tell us three things that people should know out there or your client should know about you. Give us three things.
My client or the other realtors need to know?
I mean, I would say either or, what's funny, and I said this before in my podcast, is that I think a lot of clients actually want to get into real estate. There's a lot of people that came to this country as immigrants like you did and don't think that they can sell real estate. They want to buy real estate for sure. They want to buy their first house, but they're not even sure, like, I kind of want to sell real estate. So I'd say for either one, what advice would you give out there? I know you personally. I know how brilliant you are. I know how you work your database and how hard you work. But what would you tell people out?
I mean, networking. Networking is very important to people, if you want to network all people, I mean, many clients just text me, oh, I need help with some plumbing, with some, I just text them. Communication.
Yeah, you're a connector. So being a connector, I think, is important for buyers and sellers. It's also important to understand that if you're getting into real estate, you need to learn how to be a connector for sure.
Yeah.
What's funny, you said, be a networker. You did a networking class, like all the way out in Beaverton. We're in Portland Central. So we're in the middle of the city. You were all the way out in Beaverton. And that was where a lot of your clients were, but you did a networking. And I think you added my picture to the flyer, if I'm right. And somebody called me and said, hey, your picture is on this. Do you speak Arabic, Leanne? And I was like, no, but I know who does. And I think it was Murooj. And they were like, I saw your picture on a flyer. And so somebody contacted me about that afterwards. And what I love is that you are just constantly out there. And when I hear about somebody out in the community doing big things like, networking and connecting, I know that they must be doing it on a really high level. So I love that part. Okay. What's another tidbit?
I mean, as a realtor, we have a stressful time for the first transaction to a closing day. It's many stressful for all parties. So we need to take a break.
Yes.
I encourage real estate agent to take a break. Just even if it's half an hour, sit with a family, hug your kids, going one night to the beach. It's for me, it's giving me, positive energy to start hard work again.
Yeah. Are those your kids behind you?
Oh yeah, this is, I think 6 years ago.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It is important, I think, to take time for yourself. I also think, and you and I've talked about this before in the past, is, those buyers that keep getting beat out of houses right now when we have 0.08% or 0.08 months of inventory, here in the Portland area. And it's like, you can become fatigued in the home buying and selling process. And I think either way, whether you're a real estate agent or if you are out there really putting in offers, don't get too fatigued. Take the time for yourself, relax in between offers, and then get back to it. And it can work both ways for sure. Yeah. Okay. What else?
Build your successful team, because all team, I'm in a solo agent, as you know, but I have my Emmy, thank you, Emmy, my principal broker. I have a connect with the inspection people, title company. I believe if you have a successful team, that successful transaction is going to going forward as a smooth transaction.
Yeah. And you know what I love? I love that you mentioned Amy's name, because she's such an instrumental part in so many people's transactions behind the scenes. And I think, I've never talked about this in my podcast before. So in fact, we'll talk about what a principal broker does. And, prior to me taking over running real estate companies, this company was in 13 lawsuits in 1 month because the wrong principal broker was not helping agents. And I think what's important to understand is that when you have somebody like Amy as a principal broker that stands, and you can be a principal broker and a salesperson too, but she's our managing broker. Yeah. And she stands behind each of your transactions every step of the way to make sure that you are staying out of litigation, but so that your client doesn't ever get into litigation as well. And I don't think that people understand that it can be a very litigious type of industry, and it's critical that you are aligning yourself with a well-known brand of real estate, with a person like Murooj doing business constantly, so that you know what the pitfalls are in today's market, because the market is constantly changing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, being taken care of by a managing broker like Amy Logue. So I agree. She is a fantastic part of the team.
Yeah, sure.
I do think that your title and escrow officers too, like you talked about, we've never talked about them. I should probably get them on this podcast. But it's true. It's like, if you're not doing the paperwork correctly, once it gets, and you're not combining it, getting everything to move smoothly, and you have the wrong escrow officer on the scene, it can really create havoc for your client, and your client not to feel taken care of.
Yeah.
So they are part of your team for sure. Okay. Anything else?
Just relationship, build the trust.
Yeah.
Trust. Yeah. Trust, the first words I have it between people.
Well, I think that that's the beautiful thing about you, Murooj, is that you really do create, like you said, that friends, that family with your clients. And I think that you are very trustworthy. And so that's why people constantly are sending you referrals, why you've become one of my top agents, why you fall in the top 20% of sales agents that are in the Portland metropolitan area. And that is not public knowledge. You know, a lot of people think, well, I'll just go look on Zillow to see how many reviews this person has. But now Zillow's even, you know, won't say how many sales you've had this last year. So they're not even reporting accurate information. And so it's not public knowledge. So we have to be out there, like with this podcast, and say, like, look, Murooj sold, you know, a lot of houses last year, and she knows what she's doing, and she has a team behind her that knows what they're doing. And we've got to educate the client that way. So if you were going to write a book, what would it be about?
Women empowerment.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
I mean, women can she do every successful job she has. I mean, doesn't matter where she's coming from and where she are right now, she can do her best. I mean, it's like me. I came like after 30, in my age, mid of 30. I have 3 kids. I left my family. I have a bachelor degree as a business, but it's in my back. It's helped me a lot, honestly, with my business. But I left everything. I start from zero. I feel I start from zero. With the 3 years, I being one of the top agents in Keller Williams, this is so successful for me. That's awesome. There's
a new book out. I always like to tell, you know, listeners and give them some tidbits too of just kind of things that you can be doing. But anyway, Melinda Gates wrote a book just recently, and it talks about the amount of work that women do that is unpaid work. And it's incredible, you know, that we're still talking about this in 2021, and yet we still really do, because you get home after helping your clients to find a home, and then still have to take care of your kids, and then still have to call your team members on your real estate team. And a lot of this is what we call unpaid work. And I thought that book is really good. I can't think of what the title is right now, but Melinda Gates wrote it.
Yeah, I still remember one person asked me when I tried to hold something heavy, and he said, "Oh, can you hold it? It's so heavy." I told him, I hold a 9-month. So I can't do it.
Right. I mean, some of the rock star women that I know that are in real estate are packing their kids around. We're going anyway. Everybody be quiet in the back seat. We have to go. So, well, you have your plate full, and I don't think that ever a client has ever noticed that you have any other focus except for them. And that's really the beautiful thing of working with you, Murooj. And I really love that you put those clients first, and that you really negotiate fairly, and that you keep transactions together. You care about the agent on the other side to make sure that they keep their client engaged with the transaction as well. And you just don't have things that fall apart. And that's the other beautiful thing about the way that you do your real estate, is that you are a very cooperative agent. And I really appreciate that about you.
Thank you.
Yeah. What question do you have for me? Did you say that you had a question?
I didn't know your history in real estate. Are you start as a real estate agent?
No, I started as flipping houses, actually.
Okay.
So I was in fact, I talked about this on another podcast, is that I started in buying my first house on a contract, and then I would buy houses that were pretty bad shape, but I love to do the, painting and kind of the cosmetics, and then we would turn around and sell them, and we'd make money, and then we would do it all over again. And for a lot of years, people kept telling me to get into real estate, and I just didn't want to. And so my actual entry into real estate, after I was at a very small brokerage that was super, it didn't have a lot of services for the agents. I actually went into title and escrow, and I was a title rep. And so I've seen all the different offices out there, and decided to come to Keller Williams about 10 years ago. So
you're doing great, and we are so thankful you have you.
Well, I am really grateful for you. I love the way you treat your clients. You are absolutely a gem in our brokerage. I love the fact that we serve all communities. We are very diverse in our brokerage, and you add to that diversity, and you add to the women empowerment. I don't think you need to write a book. You're a walking billboard of women empowerment. And I think women are lucky to work around you, Murooj. So thank you for being part of the podcast. Thanks for joining us today on Getting to Know Your Realtor. This episode was brought to you by Lifeline for Hope. Be sure to catch us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Stitcher, and be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much again for joining us today. Have a great day.